right to you. Who gets 500 million? You. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, 500.
Next question. So out of the 2 billion views that we get per day, how many do you think we get on mobile devices, on your iPhone, on your Android phone?
500?
500 million? Okay, that's one guess. Do I have more? Do I have less? 10 million? Okay. I'll give you a hint. It's somewhere in between 500 million and 10 million. 7? No, it's actually more than 10. I think we established that. We did that bit. 15? 15? Actually more than that.
30 million.
300. It's actually over 200 million. And this is data from last year. So, you win. I mean, you're so. Next question, and it relates to the answer that just someone out there already gave us. Although that answer is incorrect. The question is, how much video do we get every minute? So every minute, how much video do people upload to YouTube?
24 hours of video each minute.
Okay, you're close.
30 hours.
How many?
30. 30?
Okay. The number is actually over 35 hours. So this is data from last year. But, very good day. Last question, and there will be no more quizzes after this, so you can just relax. So out of all the views that we get on YouTube, how much comes from outside of the United States? How many international video views do we get?
70%, more or less.
Okay, we get 30.
70?
We got 70. 80. 60. Okay, so actually the answer is 70. You win. 70. Yeah.
Who's that?
Right now. Okay, so just some trivia. I know you guys are probably all science students and you probably journalists like myself. So now we will cover the life cycle of the video. So what happens to a video as it traverses the different stages of YouTube? Video gets uploaded first. Then there is an ability to share video on YouTube, and I'll show you different ways in which videos can be shared. People search for videos, and also applications, programs search for videos. And because my focus is APIs, I'll give you an example of how you can use an application to issue a video search request. And then finally, playback. So this is how we consume the video. Uploading. For those of you that have used YouTube, it should be very straightforward. You can go to youtube.com and upload your video. There are two mechanisms for that. One is the standard HTTP post mechanism. And if any of you have written HTTP or web application, this should be pretty clear. And then we have an advanced uploader that uses Java and resumable upload. So if you produce content for YouTube and it is a long-form content, so the files are actually very large, and you want to reliably upload it to YouTube, we have an advanced uploader called using resumable upload technology that lets one upload very large files to YouTube, even if the connectivity comes and goes, which seems to be the case right here, so we have to bear with me. We have a mobile uploader, so in fact, if you have a YouTube account, you can upload a video to YouTube by just emailing your video to a specific email address that is created for you. And this is an example of such alias, and then the video ends up uploaded to your account. So this is popular in emerging markets where the internet connectivity may not be so high, the mobile bandwidth may not be so high, but the video is short, and we do support email transfer. And then using the API, which again, API is my focus. We have a browser-based API, so if you build a web application and you would like your users to be able to upload video to YouTube without having to leave your web application, you can do that. We have a direct and direct resumable upload API. And these two allow you to integrate your system with YouTube so that videos get transferred from your backend system directly into YouTube. So it's the case here is if you say develop some content, some video content, and you have some kind of a staging environment where that content lives, and then you want to programmatically push that content over to YouTube, you can use the direct and direct resumable upload capability. Now, as you're uploading, one thing to always remember is the metadata. Metadata is key. This is how your users will find the videos. This is how you can identify information about the videos, tags. For developers, there's additional storage space that we offer so that you can associate information about the video that is not visible to the general population, but it is available to your application. For example, we get a lot of usage from game companies, and game companies will typically encode player ID information into the video so that they can give you an answer to a query such as, show me all the videos where these two players are actually present in the video. And because we have that developer storage metadata available, then they can actually implement that. Video sharing. Probably all of you have received links to YouTube videos. There is a auto-share capability on YouTube, so if you link your YouTube account with Twitter or Facebook, I will actually automatically post updates about your YouTube activity to these two social networks if you allow the site to do that. You can embed a video, and that's typically how videos get shared on websites, where you can embed, you can obtain an embed code, and I'm showing an example here, and then paste it into your HTML code, and that's all you need to do in order to be able for a video to appear on your web page or your web application. And then, again, because our focus of this presentation is APIs, users' activity on YouTube is actually exposed through an API, through something we call an activity feed. And if a user grants your application access to that feed, you can actually figure out what they have been doing on YouTube. So you can figure out that they like the video, they subscribe to a channel, they upload a video, and so forth. Searching for videos. So probably all of you have had a chance to go to youtube.com and issue a search request because you wanted to find something, and certainly that's about the approach. We also have an API support for searching. So if you would like your application to search the large volume of video that is available on YouTube, you can issue a very simple request. And here's an example of such a request. So if I want to look up all the videos that have Google Mexico in its metadata, I can issue a request of this type. It's basically an HTTP GET request. And that will return a set of videos that match my search criteria. So in fact, I can just try it. So what I just did is I issued a GET request to a URL. So for those of you that work with HTTP, I think it should be relatively straightforward to understand. What I get back is an XML document that contains my search results. This format is defined by a set of standards. But on a high level, the XML document consists of entries inside of a piece. And this is how the data is presented. But you can see that the way to use the API is very straightforward. Just by issuing HTTP GET request and specifying some request parameters, you can actually issue a search request to YouTube. You can get a set of results back. And that's pretty much how the entire API works. Playback. So we offer many ways in which the video can be consumed. Users can go to youtube.com, and that's where the majority of videos are actually watched. We offer the embedding capability. So if you're building a web application, you would like to embed a video into your site, you can use our embedded player. You can create a custom player that allows you to customize the behavior of the embedded player. Or you can use the Chromeless player. And the Chromeless player allows you to really customize the user experience. So suppose you're building a media application and you really want to have control over what it looks like, what are the controls like, how does the user interact with the video. That's where Chromeless player comes into the picture, because that player exposes the rich API. So you can in fact build your own application, your own video playback application on top of user video content using the Chromeless player. You can watch videos on your mobile, and as I showed in the previous slide, our mobile usage is growing quite rapidly. We also support other devices. So a lot of TV manufacturers, Blu-ray manufacturers embedded in YouTube playback capability. Also Google TV supports YouTube playback as well. And now, let me give you a quick example of a typical integration between a gaming application and YouTube. So in this case, the game is actually Call of Duty Black Ops. So it's a pretty big console game. I think it was the largest game of 2010, they made over $1 billion, so it's a very huge success. And what they have implemented is the ability for users to actually upload the gameplay video from their game into YouTube and share it with other players. So let me see if I can play an example. Okay, so what you just showed is somebody shooting down a helicopter, and they basically did that in the real game, and through the APIs, the game integrated the upload capability to YouTube so that this video clip can be shared with other gamers. And now the question becomes, how is such a thing done? And we'll go through exact process of, if you have an application that generates video, how do you actually integrate it with YouTube, the platform, so that the video can be pumped directly into YouTube without any user intervention. So there are two sets of APIs that we offer, the Google Data APIs and the Player APIs. I gave you an example of how a Google Data API works with YouTube just a minute ago when I was issuing the search request. So the Google Data APIs for YouTube are based on REST. So for those of you that kind of work with web services, REST should be a pretty familiar term. For those of you that haven't, really the only thing to understand is that the protocol is based on HTTP, and the access to data is based on HTTP requests and responses. So let's go through the Google Data APIs in a little more detail. As I mentioned, the protocol is based on REST. The format of the data structures is driven by standards. So there is an Atom syndication protocol and Atom publishing protocol. They are defined by IRCs. I don't know if any of you have read IRCs before. If you're having trouble going to sleep, the best way is to read an IRC. It's good to sleep right away. We support other encoding formats as well. So nowadays, a lot of developers use JavaScript, and in JavaScript world, JSON is a typical format that data is represented. We support both JSON and JSON-C. JSON-C is a very compact representation of the data. So rather than getting a big XML document when you read the request, you can actually get a JSON-C encoded data structure. That works pretty well for mobile, because mobile we want to save bandwidth. And the way the data is organized, we have a bunch of feeds. So pretty much every activity that you can imagine on YouTube is represented by a feed or feed access. So if you'd like to figure out, okay, what are all the top rated videos on YouTube, or what are most viewed videos on YouTube, there is a feed that represents these videos. You can access this feed using an HTTP request, much like the one that I just showed you. And then entities such as playlists, subscriptions, uploads, all that is represented as feeds. YouTube applications interact with these feeds using the API. So going back to the previous example, the upload was actually an entry that was inserted into the feed, and that's how the video from the game ended up on YouTube, so that we can all enjoy it. So here's an example of feed access. Previously, I was using the search feed to retrieve information about videos that I was interested in. And this is another example where I'm actually accessing one of the standard feeds, which is top rated. What that will return me is a set of videos that are actually top rated by users on YouTube. And this is dynamically updated as videos get more popular, they get higher ratings, and this feed will return the current results. So again, if you're building a media application and you would like to incorporate YouTube in your application, you can very easily issue a request and get that information from YouTube. Now, for those of you that like programming languages and higher level abstraction, we offer programming libraries that access YouTube Google Data API, so that you don't actually have to do HTTP parsing, XML encoding, and so forth. So all that is hidden from you. And these libraries are available on code.google.com. So in fact, if you have been wondering what this QR code represents, has anybody actually scanned it yet? No? Okay. It's actually code.google.com. So that's where all the libraries reside, all the open source applications that we have to demonstrate how the platform can be used. And in this example, I am creating a query and accessing the video feed using the Java library that comes with YouTube API. And the access pattern is pretty simple. I created an instance of YouTube service. Then I created an instance of a video feed, which represents and there's a bunch of other things you can do with the APIs. One thing to remember is, and this applies to all Google APIs, is if you build an application that requires access to users' data, typically you have to obtain the user's permission to access that application. And that is done through all stuff. So I'm not going to go into too much detail of how this technology works. But the only thing to remember is that rather than obtaining a user's username and password, today we actually use all to obtain a token that represents the fact that the user granted you access to their data. And a lot of APIs on the web right now work this way. So if you access Facebook APIs and Twitter APIs, you'll probably be using something very similar, which basically prompts the user to grant your application access to their data, and from then on you can do things on users' behalf. So I have a couple of programming examples. If you like Python, we have a library for Python. The access pattern is very similar. You create an instance of the YouTube service, video query, you can issue the query and parse the results. C# is also supported. All of you that like .NET platform, this is also a very popular API for us. And in this example, I'm actually showing how you upload a video to YouTube programmatically using C#. As you see, I'm actually creating a metadata element, media description. Yeah. And I'm also associating geolocation information with the video. So this is one of the interesting things about the API is we allow you to specify coordinates of where the video was actually taken, and then issue query against these coordinates. So you could actually figure out, what are all the videos shot in Mexico City within, 50-kilometer radius. That query can actually be expressed through the API if you associate the coordinates with the video metadata. And then finally, I'm issuing the upload request for a file that is stored on my local file system. Okay, so enough about the backend GData APIs. Now we're going to talk about the front end. So the player behavior can also be customized. So you can, in fact, influence how the video is consumed. You can change the design elements of the real estate around the player, and you can actually control the playback experience. And there's 3 ways to do that. The simplest way is you can use URI parameters. So for those of you that have issued, typed anything at the browser command line, you can actually append parameters to the URL. And these are actually interpreted by our player to alter the player's behavior. You can use a JavaScript API, and we'll have an example of that shortly. And you can use ActionScript API. This is for Flash developers. So player parameters. I'm showing 2 examples here of how you can influence or control the player behavior. The first example uses the familiar object embed code. So that's typically in the past, if you obtain an embed code from YouTube and wanted to share it in your web application, you can actually modify the embed code and append parameters to the URL. And in this example, I'm actually forcing the full screen option to be available in the player. So there will be a button that appears that will allow the user to click on it, and then the video can be consumed in the full screen way. And conversely,
if I set fs to 0, then the full screen option, playback option will not be available. And again, this is up to you. If you're designing your application and you want specific user experience, and you can actually control that user experience through the player parameters. In the similar example below, I can actually set the player to start playback as soon as somebody navigates to a page using the player parameters. So autoplay equals 1 means that as soon as somebody actually hits a page which has this iframe embed, the video playback will start. So what I showed you is the easiest way to control the player. Now, some applications require a lot more power. So we do offer a very rich API to the player. So there are things you can do with the API that are not possible to do through just a basic interactions with the player. And here's one such example. I'm actually using the JavaScript API to create an instance of the player, and then I register a couple of events. So the player, upon state transitions, generates events that can be subscribed to by the application. So for those of you that have written any applications that are event-driven, you should be pretty familiar. For those of you that haven't, really the only thing to understand is that as things happen, for example, playback starts, playback stops, buffering conditions appear, and the playback is stalled because of that. We actually generate events or function calls to your application so you can react to it. And you can inform the user, you can have some kind of a recovery or whatever it is that you want to do. In this example here, what I wanted to do is I wanted to play a video only for 6 seconds and then stop the playback. And let's see if we can actually run it. And again, I didn't have to play the stop button. Really what happened is I registered to an event. I registered a timer. I told the timer, wait 6 seconds. And after 6 seconds, fire. And when the timer fires, I actually invoke an API operation called stop video. So that's why the player stopped. And then if I want the playback to continue for a little longer, and I do because I think this is a really cool song, I can change the code. Yeah, I'm doing some real-time coding here, so you guys have to bear with me. Let's try it. Science is the new art. Okay. So let's go back to the presentation. Okay, so as you can tell, if you really want to have control over the playback behavior, you can use the JavaScript API or ActionScript API to really influence what happens with the video. A couple of quick notes about mobile. If you would like to build a mobile application and do the same thing that I demonstrated with other types of applications. So for example, video upload directly from your application to YouTube. You can do that as well. And on Android with Java, you can actually kick off an intent. So if you've ever written any Android applications, there is this very powerful framework based on intents. Your application can actually fire off an intent and some other application can react to it. So in this example, if you would like to capture a video you can generate an intent called video capture. And that will trigger the camera application to pop up. The user can record the video, and you can actually obtain the URL to the video and then upload it to YouTube using the API. So you can perform the programmatic video upload to YouTube in your application on Android. And the similar functionality is available on iOS as well. For those of you that like iPhone development, you can use the UI image picker controller. It has very much equivalent functionality. For upload on Android, you can also use intents. So if your application generates an action send intent, our YouTube application that is available by default on Android also responds to that intent, and it will actually perform the video upload. You can use the API on Android to kind of implement the upload yourself, or you can use the intent framework. Okay, so enough about the detailed APIs. Let's just go through a couple of examples. What people have done with YouTube APIs. So I showed you the gaming example, and there's a bunch of other companies that have done very similar integration. Bungie for Halo, Electronic Arts for Spore, and Call of Duty for Black Ops. So let's look at some more Call of Duty videos, because I think they're kind of cool to watch. So first of all, what I wanted to show you is the actual trailer. So this is a professionally produced video. It's not YouTube API integration. It's the real deal. Okay, so for those of you that haven't played Call of Duty, I think now you have an idea what it's about. They're shooting helicopters from the sky. Okay, so that's the official trailer. And let's look at an example of user-generated video. So this is a video of somebody playing on PlayStation, and submitted to YouTube using the API integration. Okay, so if you compare these two videos, obviously there's a big quality difference. Yet, I noticed you were actually laughing watching this video. So there's really something about giving the user the ability to actually create interesting content and then expose it through YouTube. And we actually did some analysis on this data from these uploads jointly with Activision, and recently we presented that at Game Developers Conference. And it was just a stunning success. People really resonate with this type of content. User-generated content is very popular, especially gamers. In a very short amount of time, they received over 1 million uploads for these types of videos from users and over 40 million views, which is actually a very significant number. If you consider this is user-generated content, it really doesn't require that much work from the users to create and upload. Okay, so now I'll go through a couple of very peaceful and relaxing applications. So there'll be no more blowing up helicopters and shooting people. This application is very interesting. ViewChange is actually a non-profit, and they build applications to really help change the world through storytelling. This application represents a class of applications in the content curation space. Really the problem that they're trying to solve is there's a lot of interesting content out there. So, as we talked about earlier, 35 hours of video uploaded every minute. So how do you make sense out of this content, and how do you find interesting content from that, sea of cat videos, right? Because we have a lot of them on YouTube. So this is the problem they're trying to solve, is they actually use a semantic analysis to analyze what the video is about in order to determine whether it should be included on their site or not, and also in order to link that video with potentially interesting content that is related. A couple of the things they've been doing is analyzing captions. So for those of you that actually noticed, YouTube allows you to enable closed captioning, and then if the video metadata contains the captions, they will actually be shown as the video is playing. So they look at these captions to figure out, what is this video really about? What are the entities that this video talks about? And through entity analysis, they find out what are the links between the various entities and really extract a deeper meaning from the video. And once they have that meaning, they can actually figure out, okay, this video is about, social change in North Africa. What are the related pieces of information, blog posts, tweets, news that could be of interest to the user. Yeah, this is what the site looks like. So generally, they bootstrap a specific project by providing the system with some initial categories, initial data feed, and then allowing curators to basically select videos or increase some weights in their system so that videos are highly rated. And then once the system is actually bootstrapped in that fashion, it kind of live on its own. And as you see, they focus on social change, really improving the world through storytelling, because it's a non-profit. They're actually sponsored by the Gates Foundation. And there's a bunch of categories that have content associated with it. So let's just click on something. It's foreign assistance, Brazil, Ethiopia, UNICEF, all the concepts that are related. And again, this is not kind of manual category creation. The system is quite intelligent that it actually understands what the content is about. Another application is short form. So what short form does is they realize that people like to share video, and some people actually like to share a stream of programming. So you can actually sit back, relax, and watch somebody's short form channel. They have a concept of a video DJ. They call them VJs, and VJs create content for people to enjoy. They use the player APIs extensively, so they can actually control the player behavior and really customize the application so that it suits their needs. So let's look at an example. The channel is called Feel Good, so the videos that are shown here are meant to, improve your mood. And there's tons of other channels that people have actually created and share with other users. And again, it's a curation process so that out of the content that is available on YouTube, they expose content that is interesting and enjoyable for users, depending on what is the category that they want to access. Okay, another application is Storify. So what the problem that Storify is trying to solve is, there's a lot of information out there happening right now in real time. So there's tweets. People are tweeting about this event, tweeting about all the things that are happening in the world. How do you integrate all that in a manner that is easy to consume and nicely presented for somebody to kind of make sense of what's going on? And Storify built a platform that allows you to pull in social media and then present it in a very nicely organized way. And the Storify users, create stories around specific events. So one example here is, just pull up the site. Okay, so what happened is, this happened while I was away. Looks like Tennessee basketball team hired a new coach. And that's a really big deal because I actually lived in Tennessee for a little bit, so I'm interested in this story. And as you can tell, this story is actually created by combining various social media sources. So these are not actually, copied and pasted images. This is actually data obtained through the API of these services and integrated in a coherent fashion. So in this example, we have a Twitter API used. There's a Flickr, a photo, more Twitter updates, more photos. There's a YouTube video. So somebody actually curated the story, created it by pulling in comments, social media narrative from various sources on the web. All of that done is using the API. So this is really the power of web-based APIs, and not only YouTube, but Twitter, Flickr. They all offer very good APIs to be able to build an application like that and really share it. The next example is MemoLane. So MemoLane is similar to Storify in a way. What MemoLane does is it lets you organize your own digital memories. So your own tweets, your own videos, your own photos. As we produce a lot of digital content ourselves nowadays. So the question is, out of all the stuff that you produce, how do you create a story that is easy to understand, and how can you actually use it to maybe go back in time and reflect upon what you have done, the places that you have visited, and this is really what MemoLane does. So let's pull up an example of what MemoLane looks like. So what you see here is really a set of digital memories, events, organized in a chronological way. And similarly to the previous example, there's various social media sources that are integrated. So there's videos, Facebook updates, RSS blog entries, and so forth. So that's, again, the way this is done is using the APIs. And this particular story is actually about the company's formation, really from the inception of the company through its evolution, and it's the story that they update constantly as new things happen. They actually can very easily integrate them into their story. So the company, I think, is originally from Denmark, and in fact, I was just at a conference in Austin, Texas, called South by Southwest, and I met the Storify team at a bar called Speakeasy, and we had a nice developer event there, and we were drinking beer, and I see that Eric, who is the CEO, put an update about this event that happened, so I can actually follow the story to figure out, what's happening to this company. So that's really how they have interpreted the curation concept and used the APIs to build a very interesting application on top of it. One more example, and this is one of my favorite. So for those of you that like to discover music, new music, what's a good way to learn more about a specific music genre? And some of them are very easy because you can just kind of listen to a bunch of MP3s and get a good sense of what this music is about. But there are those that are actually very rich and complex and have a rich history, and it really helps to kind of figure out how it all came about. And definitely jazz is one of these. And there's a company called 955 Dreams, and they created an iPad mobile application which teaches you about jazz. It takes you back in time, and it walks you through the entire history of the genre. And it also allows you to purchase the music. So they integrate it with iTunes API. So you can learn about the genre and then purchase the music that you like. And so this is what the app looks like on the iPad. I think they have a video here. Let's see if we can put it. Hopefully you get a feel of what this application is like. Really the key part to highlight is you can use YouTube in your mobile applications, and people have been building very creative applications by incorporating the YouTube player and the player APIs that I gave you an example of a little earlier to really build a rich experience around it. And people are willing to pay for these types of applications. They actually monetize by selling this application on the App Store. Okay, now we have a bunch of open source code out on code.google.com, and the purpose of these applications that are available there is to really help you get started and really learn about what's possible with the APIs, and look at existing code to see how they work, customize it, change it, and so forth. So one of such projects that we have developed is called YouTube Direct. And YouTube Direct is a platform built on top of YouTube APIs that really helps solicit and moderate user-generated content. So a typical deployment scenario here is a media company. In this case, this is a project that we've done with ABC up in San Francisco, where they wanted to build a platform where people can submit videos, but they needed the ability to actually filter through the submitted videos and indicate which ones they liked, and then feature the videos which were approved by them on their website, and then some of them they would actually put up on the air late at night. And so they built a site that uses our open source project called YouTube Direct that handles this whole video submission and moderation process. They also integrated additional APIs, in this case the map APIs. And again, if you look at the set of APIs that Google provides, they all feel similarly. So the map APIs have a similar feel as well. And they were able to create a map which indicates where the videos that were submitted were actually shot. And the mechanism through which they were able to do that is, remember I showed you an example previously where the video metadata can have a geolocation information. You can use that information to integrate that with the map and then graphically represent what's actually being submitted. And, see if I can pull it up. So I have the map, I can zoom in and out. And then there's a bunch of content that was approved through moderation panel built on top of YouTube Direct. And then the videos, and in this case photos, that were approved are actually showing on the media wall. And YouTube Direct also has a mobile uploader. So if you're interested in building mobile applications and you would like to get started, you're curious about how to integrate YouTube, upload a new mobile application, we built an open source project that actually shows you how to do it. So again, this example here is the same instance that I was showing you on the previous slide. And in this case, the station would solicit ideas from its viewers about specific topics, for example, weather and politics, immigration, and whatnot. And then people would submit videos. These videos are actually approved or moderated by the whoever runs the instance, and then those that are approved end up on the media wall that I just showed you. Just a quick overview of the architecture of YouTube Direct. It runs on Google App Engine, so I'm not sure how familiar you are with App Engine. Really, App Engine is a platform as a service offering from Google. So if you're building a cloud application and you would like to host it someplace, and you don't want to have to roll out your own servers, you don't want to deal through the administration pains of having to do that, you can basically use App Engine for that. So in the cloud space, there's infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, software as a service. Infrastructure as a service is something like Amazon, for example, offers with EC2. Platform as a service, App Engine is a good example of that. Microsoft has Azure for their .NET. And then software as a service, we have apps for your domain on Salesforce.com for enterprise applications. There's a bunch of kind of browser-based software offerings. So App Engine sits right in the middle. So if you're building a Java application or a Python application that you would like to deploy it into the cloud, but not have to worry about management, scaling, reliability of that application, you can use App Engine. Another advantage App Engine has is it's very easy to get started. So if you're building an application, you just want to play around with an idea, and you don't really expect to have huge volume of traffic, and you won't be consuming a lot of resources, you actually not going to have to pay for App Engine usage. So that's another advantage that we see is, a lot of these deployments for open source projects, they may start off very small, and so there's a lot of resistance to, getting an investment to get it started, but there's a clear need to run something in the cloud. So this is what App Engine allows you to do. In fact, the example that I showed you earlier, where I was trying to modify code in real time, this is actually an App Engine application.
that I have built, and I happen to be running this against a local development server that runs on a local host, but you can actually deploy that same application to Google App Engine and have it running in the cloud. And a couple of the technologies that we use for YouTube Direct, it's based on JSPs and servlets, so it's kind of old school Java. We offer the mobile uploader, and I showed you a screenshot of that previously. There's an administration interface, and then there's an iframe embed, so for content submission, people can basically put that iframe embed on their site, and that takes care of the submission process. So, a couple of things, some of you might be close to graduation and are ready to get out to the real world and start building applications that you would like to monetize. For YouTube and really for any other API, read the terms of service. We have some additional resources that talk about monetization and branding. How can you leverage YouTube as a part of your own application? The terms of service are kind of like the RFCs that I talked about earlier. I can guarantee they will put you to sleep, but it's a good investment because if you're building an application and you would like to eventually make money on it, then be careful and read through the fine print to make sure that you are in compliance with the terms of service. And at YouTube, we take them very seriously because we are a technology company. We protect the rights of content owners. And that's why we have a specific set of terms so that we can have a very healthy ecosystem of applications built on top of the platform, like the ones that I have showed you earlier, and the content owners actually benefiting from users coming to the site or using these applications to watch videos. So there's a couple of links here, and then if you would like to get started with the APIs, we offer a developer key to developers that will allow you to kind of monitor how your application is doing, obtain some analytics about your application usage, and you can sign up for that developer key access on code.google.com. It doesn't cost anything, it's just a click-through agreement. And we have a lot of documentation out there on code.google.com. We have a blog where any kind of new features that we roll out are announced at apiblog.youtube.com. And there's a very healthy and vibrant discussion forum around our APIs. We have several thousand members. And then, there's me. So if you want to learn more, you can just ping me on Twitter. So this concludes the scheduled part of the presentation. I wanted to take some time for Q&A, and my understanding is that we do have some extra time. I'm going to maybe hand the microphone over to my